Don't get frustrated if you can't do it on the first try. Practicing 3 to 5 minutes a day at appropriate times. Don't get frustrated if you can't do it on the first try. Practicing 3 to 5 minutes a day at appropriate times to master. Don't get frustrated if you can't do it on the first try. Practicing 3 to 5 minutes a day at appropriate times. To master.
Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today I'm just taking a look at the massive dump that we're having on the charts. And, I think that we were all prepared for this over here at Alpha Commission. Of course, we didn't want to leave you without any hopium, so just in case the market was supported at these, levels before we turned red on the Gaussian channel here, and before we, before we really broke some critical support in the middle of the mid-range there, we were talking about the possibility of certain coins, perhaps having a push up, for example, Cadena or Curado, some of these coins, which, okay, wow, it's an interesting Gaussian channel there. But let me just turn that off. That's pretty distracting. So, what we're really seeing is what's to be expected from the kind of models that we've been developing over time here. And, it hasn't completely broken down yet, okay? And I'm not talking about Credo specifically, I'm just talking about Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole. We still do have chances to bounce. And I think I can actually show you. Let's see, what do I have here? I've got so much stuff, right? We've gone over so many things. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at that. Oh, the alpha algorithm has won again. The alpha algorithm has won again. 100% hit rate. 100% hit rate. Predicted this path up here. Predicted this path, around this area. So again, like every time we've reached these critical zones, 20% drop, 20% drop, 20% drop, 20%, and oh, look at this, 20% drop. I wonder if anyone had shorted here, or if they all were just full of hopium, telling all of their Moonboy followers that we were going to 100K again, that we were going to 75K, that the moon was the limit, right? You guys were all gonna 10x on your stupid shit coins that, these influencers and gurus and all these shills and the people who, get paid by coins, and have too tight relationships with the devs and all of those guys. They were just telling you to full port, that people didn't understand what the value of the coins were that they were pushing on you. You just had to buy all the coins that they were recommending, and you'd be a millionaire right now. You'd be a millionaire. You'd be going to the moon, guys. You'd be going to the moon. Put on those helmets. You're going to the moon. But I don't know. Over here at Alpha, we just had a little bit of a more cool-headed, level-headed, actual rational approach to the market. And, when we see these algorithms playing out in the bots and in the traders' mentalities, and when we can create a thumbprint for a specific asset, we don't fight the trend. Yes, we can talk about downtrends and uptrends, but we can also talk about patterns as trends, because that's how the market moves, right? The people trading these assets don't change. The bots changing these assets don't change, right? They just recycle. They just get exaggerated. They get, stressed at certain points, and, then they get greedy and fearful at certain points. But anyway, we're here now. It's time to kind of start a new era, a new algorithm era on Bitcoin. And what would that look like? What would that look like? Well, I'm not sure, frankly. Personally, I'm not 100% convinced that this dump is over, although we are at the reasonable levels of support that I had, marked out. Sell every chance that you get, right? And, basically, I do think that if the volume is going down enough on Bitcoin and the rest of the market, that we could come back down to these levels at 37K maybe. But I'm not going to make a call. That's not what I do here. Just you validate and invalidate things, right? So look at this. We're right at this level that I marked out in advance, which I don't know if you've seen this Korean trader. I think his name is Sato. And he actually he actually longed like up here, like when we broke. I think he was longing like when we broke support, and then his liquidation point on $500,000. It's not funny, man. It's like crazy. It's like these rich people, these rich people. They just gamble in this industry, and it causes chaos in these markets. But I think that he longed $500,000 right when we broke support, or around that point. And his liquidation point, which he could see well in advance, was exactly as predicted, exactly on these levels that we've hit every single time that we've broken down in this area of Bitcoin, right? Every single time we've hit this area. And I don't know what it is about the Moon Boys and the gamblers and the gurus who talk their people into putting all their hard-earned money into just gambling, right? But they defy logic. They don't have a sense of reason. They're kind of ideologically driven, and the market will take advantage of that. They will destroy you for believing in assets which do not believe in you, right? This asset, Bitcoin and crypto, this asset class, it trades with the stock market. It trades as a tech meme stock. Get that through your head. I've been repeating that several times. Crypto are basically tech meme stocks. It hasn't been mainstreamed yet. It hasn't, you know, it doesn't have a critical mass in the mainstream. Right now, it's being manipulated. I've told you this several times. Only 5% of the holders of Bitcoin own less than one Bitcoin, right? Everyone else owns tons of Bitcoin. And those guys are manipulating. That 95% of super whales are just manipulating you. They're manipulating this market. They are, in fact, causing all of these crises, and they are liquidating you to get your money. Our favorite tech meme stock, Bitcoin, leading the crypto market, moving the market with its every move. I mean, this is totally not a speculative ploy by the globalist billionaires to game financial institutions and liquidate millions of poor people at all, is it? Or is it? Totally a legit currency, right? Like this is what you want your money doing on a day-to-day basis, right? When you, when you go to the store, you start with X amount of money, and then by the time you get to the cash register, you have way less, right? Or way more. But I mean, it's just all legit currencies follow hyperinflated stocks instead of the real economy, right? I mean, look, guys, this asset class has a huge potential. It can be the future of the world for sure. It can be, but we're not there yet. And until we get there, you have to understand this is just a manipulated market by billionaire globalists. This isn't a localist movement of little guys trying to break free of the government. That's not what it is. It's literally, you know, globalist billionaires trying to take a little bit of the power of governments away and basically become their own kind of financial government in order to control you the same way that the government does. Okay, so look, we've got a lot of time in crypto left, but don't be a moon boy. Don't be a moon boy. This thing is trading like a tech meme stock. It's trading with the stock market, right? And the stock market is collapsing. So I don't know, exactly how this is going to be mitigated this year, as we've seen multiple times in multiple ways that you can get these dead cat bounces on a collapse in a market, and that the markets can be super overheated, right? And if you start zooming out on these things, you start to see just how stressed out the system is, just how much further we have to go to balance this stuff. And if you zoom out further, like on the monthly, you can see that we may not have even began yet, right? We may not have even began yet. I mean, at the very minimum, you might expect that we're following some kind of trend like this. And so, are you going to be a moon boy when this is what you can look forward to? I mean, I don't want to dismiss anybody's, faith in something, or, giving financial advice, but personally, I'm not thinking up only is the direction of this market. I'm thinking market correction is the direction of this market, and that this could take as long as all of 2023, not 2022, 2023. And so you have to be a trader in this market. You know, we're probably going to bottom out somewhere, and it could be sooner than later. But we're probably going to bottom out, and then it could just be a very weird market for the next couple years. Okay? Again, there's no way around that. There's literally no way around that. We've been superheated. We've done these crazy things. We have all these like crazy predictions, right? And so, yeah, maybe in 2024 we could get that parabolic movement, right? We could get that kind of next leg up, right? Maybe we have a setback in 2024 before it happens, just to shake out the market. Maybe we reach a bottom in 2022 and we skyrocket, right? To come back to kind of normal prices. Or who knows, maybe we've already bottomed and we can get up to like 60K or 70K, right? Despite, volume just being destroyed. Look, I mean, this volume right here, see this? It looks exactly like what's happening here, and look how low we went. Is my model really that irrational? Like why do people criticize this type of thinking? People have been so hard on me. They've been so hard on me, and yet they've been just like listening to these traders who, by the way, have traded for decades, some of them. And they're they say like we shouldn't really talk about these things. I only have projections for the upside. And then, yeah, when things flip over, then we can start talking about it. But maybe we should talk about it in advance, just so that you can be ready and psychologically ready, right? I don't know what it is about leverage traders and, different, uh, you know, guys in crypto that have just been in it for too long or, you know, too little time or something. Just there's a bunch of weirdos in this industry who just intentionally mislead you every chance they get. Every chance they get, they just give you like half the information, or they make a one-sided argument. I think every idea that I put forward on this channel, every single idea except once, has had either validations and invalidations, or it has come with the opposite argument at the same time. And the only once that I didn't do that, the only once, is when I was warning about a strong fib channel right here, which corresponded to a fib channel that was here and here, and some of these other like notable rejections. And so if we do get an even further rejection along this line, right, coming down to as low as 22,000 maybe, right? Could be lower. Could be lower. I'm not afraid to talk about those numbers. I'll gladly talk about 14,000. It's possible. It is possible. Don't pretend it's not possible. Do you know what's also possible? 10,000 is possible. It actually is possible. I know people say, "Oh, it's never been done that you do these type of things." Okay, I'm sorry, but we have totally different market conditions than we've had in these previous setups. Okay, we have totally different market conditions. I'm just going to go on a limb and say that 10K is possible. And you know what? Anybody who says it's not possible, they can, STF you, right? Like they can just shove it, because 10K is possible, and you need to know that. You need to know that. Somebody has to tell you that honestly. Is 100K possible? Yeah, 100K is possible. Is 200K possible? Yes, 200K is possible. These are all within range. These are all within range, and $10,000 is absolutely within range. Not likely to stay there. If we ever dipped a toe down to 10,000, not likely to stay there. If we ever dipped a toe down to 14,000 or 16,000, not likely to stay there. Okay, I'm not predicting the death of crypto. I'm just saying that the way that the world is going and the way that the economic bubble is kind of set up in some of these assets in the stocks, and the fact that Bitcoin trades like a tech meme stock, right, means that there is the potential for an extreme bubble collapse that can be corrective on a level that you've never seen before. And while I'm not predicting that to happen, because it could be just a small fizzle, right? Like if you have a balloon, it doesn't have to pop. You can actually poke a pinhole in it and slowly let the air, just whiz out of it without the balloon exploding. But it could just be a slow sideways price action that kind of curves down, but slowly over a long time. So time can replace the drama of up and down, right? So like a high spike or a high spike down, that can be replaced by time slowly moving up or slowly moving down, because time and distance are the same thing in trading, essentially. Okay, we're basically talking about areas on a chart. We're not really talking about just the magnitude in one direction. Okay, and so but what's our vector right now? Our vector is down. Our vector is down, and so we're not going to try to fight that. At the same time, that's kind of a mid time frame. On the larger time frame, it's up. So it's not like we're like saying the sky is falling. We're just saying that it is possible to be sideways. It is possible to be sideways for a while. And that something like this is actually possible, right? It is possible. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, okay? Not likely, right? Just like it's not likely to get up here right now, right? More likely we're doing something, like this, right? Something like that, where maybe 28,000 or 25,000. And yeah, it is possible that we could get up here to like 60 or 70,000 and then just do like this, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But likewise, this can happen too. If we have a financial, collapse from all that overheating, right? And again, like we can look at the monthly. Look at the monthly, and you can see the corrections that are possible here. Here, let's just do a little trend line on this one as well, right? Let's do like that. We don't have to be over bearish here. Maybe something like this. Okay. But that would imply that the pain that we've seen since December is just beginning. I mean, am I making something up here? It would suggest that the pain that we've seen since December is just beginning. Okay. So am I going to bet on up? No, I'm not going to bet on up. Of course there's going to be reaction rallies. Of course. Of course we're going to have chance to make money. There's going to be bounces. Some things could even defy logic. The Asian Fed and the European Fed and, some local Feds in the US, like maybe they could fight the Federal Reserve, the National Federal Reserve of the United States, and maybe, there's liquidity injected for some time. And so that maybe pushes the stock markets up, and maybe we do see these kind of like local, like midterm highs before dipping or just going sideways. But personally, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think we're in one of these type of movements. And even if it's rounded top and kind of like a softer play, like this kind of looks like this, right? It's kind of rounded. Even if it's kind of a rounded thing, like you can kind of imagine. You could kind of imagine instead of this dump and instead of Corona, if you just had kind of like a rounded thing. And maybe there was something in the middle just to kind of like double check prices, right? Yeah, we can imagine that. We could imagine something like that. Where maybe 33,000 is the bottom. Maybe 28,000, right? And so if you bought here, maybe you did buy the best price. Like, I'm not going to knock you for taking that trade. That was an excellent trade. In fact, the more I review when we were at 33K, if you bought there, I know some guys who bought there. I was too chicken to buy there, right? But if you bought there, I waited for confirmation. Okay, it wasn't irrational. I waited for confirmation that we were going back up on an uptrend, and so that was reasonable. But the more that I analyze this point, the more I do see that it did meet my standards for a possible buy. And so people who bought there, I'm not going to knock them. I think I called them possibly gamblers once, and I should apologize for that. I think that there were many metrics that you could have used that suggested that it was a good point to buy, including, I believe, even my own like Gaussian channel method. Yeah, so we wicked down there, and there wasn't a confirmation. This was the confirmation that I bought on, so that was smart. But being this far below the Gaussian channel on the 5-day, I mean, it wasn't a bad move either. Okay, like that wasn't a bad move. And if you bought on this wick down here when you noticed that we broke the 5-day Gaussian and we were so far below it, it wouldn't have been a bad move just to grab whatever you could at the very bottom of that and pray, right? Pray that we don't go lower, right? Because we could go lower for a long time. But buying on the confirmation was definitely smart. Okay. And so we're about to do it again. Probably, look at the behavior on this Gaussian channel. Probably we're going to test the bottom, wick down, could be a good buy. Maybe we just hang out at the bottom and then we die. Or we start working our way back up. And at this point, we really do have to break the mid channel. Like if we don't break the mid channel at the next try, then I don't even understand what Bitcoin's doing except going down slowly, right? Like slower than we've seen before. But maybe that could be part of a rounded, bottom. It's not like the tops are exactly, smooth and even and all of that, right? So the bottoms could also be kind of, jagged and irregular and all of that. But we'll find out. So far, we haven't violated any of these major lows yet. We're just at the bottom of the Gaussian channel, which is normal. Like you can bounce from there, right? And so we don't have to be saying the sky is falling. Just when you zoom out and you take a look at what's going on in the world and you take a look at how overheated things are, you kind of get the idea that we're not just going to make new all-time highs this year, right? You kind of get the feeling that this is going to be put off for a while. And that maybe we're paying our dues right now. We're paying our balance from what we charged, what we put on our credit cards going up, right? The industry took its profits twice actually. And now it's just recharging, right? Just saving up, trying to find the bottom, a real bottom. Nobody wants to buy in the middle. Why are you going to buy in the middle? Everyone who took their profits up here wants to buy down here, right? Buy in the red, not in the green. So I don't know. I don't know. It's up to you. Of course, that's the monthly. So on other time frames, there's probably plenty of trade opportunities to be had. Maybe even the 4-hour. We could be getting a bounce now. We could go down to 37,000 and get a bounce. Who knows? Or we could just drop off. We could just drop off the cliff, right? But from my perspective, from where I want to be buying on the macro, I don't want to be buying in the middle. If I see this as our range, something like this. If I see this as our range, let's just say maybe 22,000, right? Kind of the bottom. And then let's say we could go a little bit higher to like 75,000 because that's realistic. Wow. Actually, we're dead in the middle of that range. Dead in the middle of that range. And so, for me, yeah, I would rather test my luck. Of course, I can always buy on an uptrend. If we break over like 47,000 and we just keep going up, then of course I can buy back in. But I'd rather have money available in my account to buy here so that if we do have some type of a bounce, whether it's here, right, or whether it's here, or wherever the heck it ends up being, right, that I can then sell it at a very good price. So I don't need to be buying the middle of the range. Don't need to be buying this area, right? Maybe where those wicks are is a good place. But from my perspective, this is kind of our sell area. And then this is our buy area. And if you have to wait, wait, I mean, at least that's what my plan is. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait for confirmation. I don't need to be buying in this middle area. I don't know if we're going up or down here. This is like nonsense land over here. Of course, we could have bounces. Of course, we can have bounces. Even we can test the middle. And if we get back on top of the middle and go up here, then okay, you can start thinking about this area, like this $47,000 area to consider. But if we start breaking down, you're going to want to have your stop loss here or something, you know, so that you have cash so that you can buy back at this area or this area. And then the differential between here and here is how you're going to make your money. It's not buying here. It's not buying here. You're just on a roller coaster here, in my opinion, right? And so, yeah, that included these wicks. And yeah, you know what? It did include these wicks. And, if you bought here again, like that was a great move. Great move. I recommended to an entire group to buy there. This one was too risky for me. I didn't know what the market was doing. You never know when you have a catastrophic fall or something, right? But this was a pretty good play right there. And if we have another one on that diagonal, who knows? Maybe it's a pretty good play also at 37,000. Right, 39,000 is where we could bounce from this Gaussian, but then 37,000 is in line with those wicks. So, there's something to that. And then I'm sure, the guys who like focus on horizontal lines, they probably have something, something in mind. Not sure what their prices are, but more of a diagonals trader myself. So if we think about these signals, played out very well. It's going to be interesting to see how this one gets set up. Just if we use this algorithm from the past, then how it would set up typically would be lower than this low. But then 20% is the low. So this, this area again, like 37 to 39, could be the setup for the next kind of algorithmic, setup there. And yeah, that could still take us on an uptrend. Not gonna lie, it could still take us up on an uptrend. We wouldn't have totally broken down. And as far as like Hopium goes, I mean, let me get rid of this. Get rid of these. As far as Hopium goes, this is not outside of the inversion model that I made. Maybe there could be some kind of fine adjustments here, but that's eerily specific where it's hitting right now. And let's see, what's the range on this? Like 39 to 37. Okay, that's eerily confluent. Okay, that's eerily confluent. If you just want some hopium, you don't want too much gloating on the downside, because this channel is about giving a fair assessment for both ways. And while I don't think it's valid to be talking about some technical, up levels this side, we can talk about some some of the more dubious concepts like fractals and geometric momentum and inversions, momentum inversions in the market. And if we consider these type of geometric momentum inversions, then yeah, 39 to 37 would be the point where I would have projected. And by the way, I drew this out even before we like reached this area, right? So this is just very interesting. It's very interesting that we're back at this point, like on this retrace. This is basically the retrace that my model predicted, okay, if we're going to stay bullish. And again, like this is based upon fractals and momentum, like geometric momentum inversion, which works very well with some of these assets because of the way that bots calculate positions. And it's a bot thing. It's not a human being thing. It's a bot thing. And, if we end up putting in a low here, wicking down or just pumping from there, and it's corresponding to some really good news in the markets, okay? The, the war in Ukraine is over. There's going to be a new round of stimulus checks. The Fed isn't going to increase rates maybe in May because, and I'm just hypothesizing what could be a really good news, because let's say that the consumer price index is actually favorable, which I don't know how that would happen. But if something like this were to occur in the markets and the markets just get a major bounce, then Bitcoin could potentially bounce in this area, by the end of May, by the end of April, maybe, start turning around. Some super positive news comes into the market in May. And, by the end of May, we could just be, could find ourselves maybe in June even, but we could find ourselves in this 70K area. And you would wonder what the hell happened after the market basically shook everyone out, right? Shook everyone out, shook everyone out, shook everyone out. Boom, went for it. and then shakes everyone out, right? And who knows, could we continue that way? Yeah, sure. Or we could break down also, right? Whatever I'm talking about, the possible downsides, like it could happen later. There could be one more go, some kind of triple top, something like that, right? Some kind of, I don't know what those formations are called. I don't really care about those formations too much. I just pay attention to price action. But yeah, I mean, this would be your hopium. I don't know where that would come from. Something supernatural entering the market. You get a god candle. You just break all the downward momentum, and we have a pause in the market until, things correct later on, or with time, with a lot of time. But yeah, guys, already made this one longer than it should have been. But I think reasonableness has kind of, made its way to the viewers of this channel. I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting. I've been getting some DMs in the Discord, been getting people commenting in the Discord, been getting notes underneath the videos, and so I know you guys are watching and paying attention. And even though this stuff is a little bit more, out there than the standard stuff in trading and in crypto, that's my goal. Like, I'm not trying to be the same as everyone else. I'm just trying to be, just trying to engage my own interesting thoughts. And if you happen to enjoy them or take advantage of any of them, or just throw some of them away, right? But needed something to do, then I'm glad that you guys could join. As always, take it with a grain of salt, and I will continue to try to provide those invalidations, right? Where if we look at Cadena, I said outside of this curve, this becomes your, over here, it's your last chance to buy in, but outside of the curve, for example, I said it becomes your stop loss. And if you followed that, if you had, if your last resort was to buy in the middle, and then outside of the curve, if you had your stop loss, at 650, then you already sold. And then you're fully capable of buying at these lower levels, should we ever get there. Should we ever get there. And I don't even know if I had a fractal on this one. But if we did, yeah, but if we did, it did suggest the possibility that we could go lower, right? It had the possibility that we could go lower, where maybe you see something like this. Oops, what the heck? Just kind of a fractal. Nothing too serious. You can't trade off of these fractals. But it is funny how the psychology of the market kind of sticks around, and I'm not going to fiddle with this one too much, okay? And so if we did like see this type of pump here after coming down from a high, like an ultimate high, we came down from the ultimate high, we got a dip, we got this bounce, we kind of sought this high, we fell down and we just kind of chopped to the side until we fall down. Yeah, I mean, this type of price action, this type of ratio has played out in the past on Cadena. It could play out again, right? In a bad market, it could play out again. And if we do dip down, then of course I'm keeping this buy box open and having my stop losses in these areas, right? So that I can buy back lower, right? Over here, the purple area was kind of your just like a middle zone, right? And then you would buy down here. And over here, the this one was your stop loss. So if we made it up here, then you could potentially buy on the purple, but just hopefully you bought down here. But you just should have been trading this range, to be honest, because the market was so bad. And until we got out of this wedge, you really wouldn't want to take a final position, right? I mean, you could have bought in here as long as you had your stop losses underneath it, underneath the wedge. if you wanted to actually hold. But we didn't break to the upside, we broke to the downside. So stop loss triggered, buy back lower. Credo, same deal, I think. Yep. Yeah, Credo still have the fractal up. It's not what I believe is going to happen. Just I wanted to see what's possible based on previous price action. And Credo kind of does these things, right? Kind of puts in these big old dips. And so just having something to kind of compare to is reasonable. What did we get? 1, 2, 3, 4. This fractal only had 3. I mean, maybe this was a fourth one that was kind of hidden. Or maybe this is the double top that was kind of like the double top on this. I don't know. Or maybe this is just a totally different price action. I'm just looking at the psychology. You can't trade on it, right? So if there is some type of psychology here, and Bitcoin ends up dumping, where could Credo go back to? Yeah, of course you could see these levels, like $1.50. $1.50 is on its kind of diagonal support this way. It's kind of like horizontally diagonal support. Would I guess that it's going to go lower than $1.90? I don't know. I really don't think it's going to go lower than $2. If the market stays strong, that's what I said. If the market stays strong, so we have this upward kind of trend to it, then I would say probably $2 is where you would want to buy in, just like here, just like here. And if it tests that again, okay, got a triple bottom on Credo. But if we break down from that, I don't know. I would target $1.50 because then we're talking about some, really low possibilities. Could Credo come all the way back to 80 cents? You might not want to hear it, but it could. There is the possibility for it to. I don't believe it will get under $2. I'm targeting $1.50 if it does. But 80 cents is actually possible, guys. Okay, this is crypto. These are tech meme stocks. They're not what the salesmen are promising you they are. And they do have a lot of upside. And they reset quite often. Okay. Let's see. I've been following ZIL. And, ZIL just behaving like what we expected. Remember, I was telling you up here, I was saying, look, guys, I don't think this one's going to break out of this. Did I draw it better over here? Not really. Is it really surprising, that this price action from, April 21, and what are we, almost April 22? We just followed this path, right? This path was able to be seen. And so what did I do? I had this one drawn originally and I brought it up here. So I drew something like this just to show, okay, there's some support here, some support here, some support here. And yeah, we went under a little bit to kind of fake people out. This is where we bought in, right? This is where we bought in. And, it just went 500% up or something. And then you reach these levels. There's a little bit of an angle here. This is the trend line. You just can kind of see on the diagonal. This would have been a great place to take profit. A lot of people would have been thinking to take profit there. And so we can just come all the way back down. Right? We can come so far down. 50% down. And I had been marking out these levels and some of these levels up here because this is where I would expect kind of natural retrace zones. And look at this. I mean, wow, look at that. Almost perfect retrace to those levels. Could it go lower? Yeah, if a Bitcoin dumps, it could go a lot lower. Who knows? Maybe it would come all the way back down and test this even. And then go on its way, right? Sort of like it did this. Right? It came up here, it came all the way back down, even went lower, kind of faking you out, and then went, right? So, this isn't unreasonable, to be honest. It could do that. It could do that. Not saying it will. If the market stays bullish, maybe it just goes from here. But if we do have a downturn, don't be so surprised. Make sure you have your stop losses, right? So that they get triggered in case we start falling. And there's a bunch of coins doing really well. But I just don't feel the need to trade the middle of the market. Was watching Near just pump this morning. And I said, look, it's at this diagonal resistance, it's at this diagonal resistance, it's at this diagonal resistance. This might be horizontal. Yeah, it's a horizontal. It's at this horizontal, right? Significant, very significant, this one. Just added confluence, these two. We didn't break out and test the bottom. We fell right through it, coming back up, and look, we hit on this diagonal, right? So, yeah, be careful. Be careful. Even these very bullish coins, they're gonna try to fake you out. They're gonna try to get you to long all of your money into the market. And right now we're in a downturn. There's just no way around it. Right now we're in a downturn. What's Luna doing? Oh, Luna, you broke even my retracement. I put this one down here, like when we were up here. But yeah, okay, reasonable, I guess. This was a long signal that I had just by analyzing these type of things. This was a long signal that I made. This was a long signal that I made just from my analysis. And then up here, I was like, no way, no way. So I set this target for the next one. But we're holding this kind of area. Luna does like to retrace quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down to 60s. I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't have to happen because you can see it can kind of chop like this way for quite a long time before doing something to check back. And then it can just immediately go back up, right? So Luna's crazy, right? Luna's crazy. And so, could it do that again? Like just kind of like a thing that and then later on you get surprised, right? Maybe in May. Who knows? So it's just hard to say. You're neither at this really great support and you're not at resistance, you're just in the middle. And Luna likes to get people that way. See that? This is how it just destroys people. And because of that destruction, it can continue going like this. Just absolute destruction, right? Anyone trading this channel right here, they just get destroyed. Destroyed, right? All right, guys. I don't know why I just like naturally make hour-long videos, but just feels like my brain wants to think about these things for that much time. I know you guys don't have that much time, so thanks for what you do pay attention to. And again, feel free to share any of your ideas. If you think something's wrong, go ahead and tell me it's wrong. You don't have to be like super sensitive about it. I really prefer just facts anyway, like just like what is the fact, and we'll just check it out. But hopefully you're all staying safe, not getting liquidated today, and that was your alpha for the day. So stay safe and happy trading.